everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Star Sitdown. This week, we have the news editor at the University Star, Mr. Daniel Weeks. How's it going, Daniel?
It's going great. It's going well. There's always news happening, so I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, you're tired. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's a bit later in the day than normal, but I'm happy we were able to work everything out. How have you been?
I've been doing pretty well. I'm just kind of bracing for this. Early voting starts next week, and I'm working with the managing editor and, of course, Jaden to formulate like a really detailed plan for how we're going to tackle election night, like which reporters are going to be here, what races are they going to be looking at. So it's really, I've just been kind of fighting to keep everything organized, getting all my ducks in a line.
Yeah, no, I get it, and you're like I was saying earlier, like one of the people who I think knows the most about like the election and everything that's going on in San Marcos. So like, what's it looking like thus far with like the local elections in Hayes County?
Well, there's a couple of key ones that will determine like the balance of the commissioner's court. Specifically the precinct 3 election, which that isn't going to appear on San Marcos ballots since it is precinct 3, which I believe the major cities in that precinct are Wood Creek and Wimberley. And this race is between incumbent Lon Shell, he's the Republican, and Lisa Pruitt, Democrat. Basically, the reason why this is kind of a key election is that'll has the potential for the Democrats to balance or just have the majority in the court. Because as it is right now, there's one Democrat and 3 Republicans, and then the county judge is a Democrat. So if Lon Shell is replaced with the Democrat, then it'll be 2 Democrats, Democrat judge, and 2 Republicans, which when it comes to issues like polling locations and extending early voting, I messed that up a little bit. So when it comes to important issues, such as a recent one, like determining whether or not Texas State gets an additional polling location, like this was voted against by the Republicans on the court, and if a Democrat was there, maybe the outcome of that would have been a little different. So that's definitely a key one to watch. Obviously, city council members in San Marcos are also running. There's a vacant spot that's going to be filled. There aren't necessarily Republican and Democrat alignments when it comes to city council, but some people are running for re-election to be reinstated into the city council. And if you do your research and take a look at these candidates' past histories with how they've voted in key city council points, then you can kind of you can gauge where their perspectives are. Like, for example, Mark Rockymore is running for re-election in city council. Mm-hmm. He voted in agreement with the cite and release ordinance, which is probably one of the bigger developments out of the city council in recent years. He's running for re-election. People who aren't keen on cite and release are going to try and vote against him. So I guess the point at the end of this ramble is to really take a close look at the candidates that are going to be making an appearance in your city and in your county, because the important decisions that impact you directly on a day-to-day basis are going to be decided upon by these people, and you need to determine which of these people represent your values.
So for someone like me, I don't know a lot about like the local government or who's in office, and a lot of the information that I've gotten about these people and the positions and the important dates and what's happening has come from you. So what would you say a good way for like other people, especially at Texas State, to get information about, these candidates and significance?
Well, besides reading the Star, but I feel
Yeah.
like that's a little bit more self-promo than like good advice. City council meetings, they're all and commissioners court meetings, they're all broadcast. Commissioners court meetings every week. You can tune into their important discussions and deliberations on Zoom. You can see all of their agendas for their meetings in advance. Um, yeah, that's to get the most hands-on approach for familiarizing yourself with San Marcos local politics would just be to attend the meetings. They have citizen comment periods at the beginnings of their meetings. If there's a really key talking point, like maybe something about the dam, Capes Dam, then the 30-minute comment period at the beginning of that city council meeting will be loaded with people providing input. People can give input about what happens to their neighborhood districts. You'll see often that future development districts will be changed to a district that allows for certain certain heights of buildings to be constructed in that district, and they will source the perspectives of people that live in that district, and so you can directly impact the decisions that they make, which is another great way of being educated on local politics there. Let's see, that's a couple. It's okay if I have a couple seconds, I think.
Yeah, dude, you're
Um,
totally you're safe, man. You're good.
cool. I when I get a little nervous, which I am just a little nervous, I
You're all
do
good.
ramble. So if you have to edit me down, sorry about that.
No, 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 you're good. I mean, I don't be nervous. It's more of just me trying to understand more because I'm obviously the Star is a great outlet to get a lot of this information, but you know, a lot of it I feel like can be daunting, and there's a lot of names, and some people aren't registered in the county and they don't know, and I think it's just a lot of information to take in, and I think that may be a reason why it might deter a lot of people from voting. And I think you touched on like some of the significance of voting, especially locally, because I feel like a lot of times people look at the national level or even the state level of voting, and they kind of just overlook the county and the significance that can happen on the county level. So I think you did a good job of explaining kind of just like, hey, if you vote for like these smaller people, like it can majorly impact even what's going on immediately around you, as opposed to like Biden or Trump. That might not be, you might not see the most significant impact right away. And I feel like a lot of people tend to overlook county and local government too, because a lot of these elections get decided by single digits, right?
Yeah, yeah. Maxfield Baker, last year, he won the city council seat. Um, he won that over incumbent Mark Gleason, which was an upset for sure. And I believe it was by 30 votes. And Maxfield Baker voted in favor of cite and release. I'm not sure how Mark Gleason would have voted for cite and release, but if he voted against it, then the ordinance wouldn't have passed. It would have been another stalemate. So those 31 people that voted for Maxfield Baker could have potentially decided the outcome of a cite and release ordinance in the city, which that's just a very, like you said, it's these elections are decided by very small margins, and if people just if they went in knowing the impact of how an individual candidate on any sort of quarter seat has, then I think a lot more people would be inspired to vote locally, even if they aren't inspired to vote federally. I mean, personally, I'm going to be voting federally between the two primary candidates, but something I see a lot is people look at what we have on a federal level and they feel hopeless. They feel as if they're not going to get the change that they want to see on a national level from the candidates that we have, and therefore they don't feel the need to vote, or they don't feel like their vote counts on the federal election, which in some states that might be the case. In some states, it could feel completely fruitless to cast your vote for a presidential candidate. But like I've been saying, that impact at a local level that affects people in your community on a much quicker basis, on a much quicker speed than how federal things get done. That happens at a local level. And so I would encourage even people that aren't interested in voting for president to think about the problems in their community and think about how they want to tackle that.
I think you're right. I think you're right, man, because like you said, a big thing that deters a lot of people from voting is the fact, like, my vote doesn't matter. It's like, but in this instance, in the community around you and the one that you live in and the ones you're in out of day and night, it can directly impact you, you know? So I think you got some really great tidbits about voting, and we'll see what happens with this election. I think you're doing a really good job with the election coverage.
Thank you.
Um, I think it's very interesting being at the Star during this time, especially being somewhat new to the operations, how people are going about it, and I, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell the tale. But I want to gauge the conversation more to you because I want to learn a bit more about you. Because I feel like you have such an interesting personality, and I like your personality. I think it's very you're very well spoken and kind of outgoing. So you started out as an English major here at Texas State, and then eventually you went on to journalism. So what made you want to go into English kind of as a major, and then make that transition to journalism?
Well, for starters, thanks for the compliments. I really appreciate it. Uh, so when I first landed at Texas State, I lived in Tower Hall, the seventh floor. I have to fact check myself there. With fresh faces such as Jacob Rodriguez living on the same floor, who he went on to be the editor in chief of the University Star. I went on to do nothing for a couple of years. I was not very motivated by my general mass communication major. I I was like, this is stupid. I I thought I was above the idea of like a digital media innovation class. I was like, well, this is stupid. I know what Twitter is. Like, I don't need to know about this. I did bad in that class, really bad.
Okay.
Shout out to Dale Blazingame, fantastic teacher, but man, I did so bad in your class because I was a bad student.
What did you do? What happened?
I wouldn't attend. I was just simply, I did not prioritize it because I don't know, can't give you a reason. I just wasn't a good student there. I BS the tests, and I got a D in the class, which that kind of lit a fire underneath my ass, for lack of a better term, even though there's probably is a better term. And I felt like I needed a point, like a very specific point as to what am I going to do with this education that I'm getting before I waste it. College is a privilege, and look at me, I just did garbage in this class, right? I also failed university seminar, to give you an idea.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah. The follow-up was even easier, thankfully.
Okay.
I did get that done eventually. So, yeah, I decided that I really liked to read. I really liked to learn from authors. I liked pretentious people that wrote about themselves. So I could probably, well, this is my thinking, like sophomore year, I could probably pursue a English career, maybe starting off as a teacher of English and then maybe developing to be more of like a scholar of certain authors, certain topics, certain periods of times. And yeah, so I switched on over to English. I started taking very heavy English classes. I'm talking like classes that are dependent on just a whole bunch of reading and a whole bunch of like critical analysis of past works. And I was decent at it. Did I procrastinate with my papers? Yeah, of course. Were they, some of them half-assed? Yeah. Did they go off topic and start talking about Richard Nixon? Of course, every once in a while. I was still scatterbrained at my approach in what I'm gaining from this education, right? And it wasn't until I was sitting in a class that was hyper-focused on a really interesting medieval author that I realized, like, man, I these people are leagues ahead of me, right?
Your
Uh,
classmates or the authors?
the classmates.
Oh wow.
These people are just leagues beyond me. They have such an understanding of this complicated literature. And at this point, I was working for the Star for. I was the assistant news editor at this point, and at that point, I realized like I'm dedicating all of my time to the Star and 1% of my time to reading Boccaccio. So maybe I need to just bite the bullet, make the shift to journalism, and I did. Um, and I'm very happy that I did.
Um, Damn, I'm happy for you, man. That's crazy. So, what about your time at the Star? Like, how did you start, and what like was it Jacob that got you into the Star?
No, no, no. It was actually I don't remember. I just had this idea. I was looking. I googled English major jobs, and I I saw in a couple of the websites it said like you should apply to your local college newspaper, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, thanks Wikipedia, and
Okay.
so I did. I shot an application for I I did an application for opinions columnist. I did an application for news reporter and assistant news editor. A day later, I got an email from news editor at the time, Sonia Garcia, who said, "Hey, so assistant news editor is something that we decide at like the end of the semester. But if you want to be a news reporter, I can interview you at Mochas and Javas." So I went, got the job, woo, and I very quickly realized that I was just garbage at at this whatever the hell this was, and Sonia pretty much had to baby me of like you got to talk to these people, you got to get your quotes like this, and just story after story, I committed to just I really wanted to publish like a really good informative article. Um, I feel like the first time that I submitted something that I was like proud of, that I was like, this is something that a news reporter would write, was when the whole vape thing was happening. I
That
don't know
was
if you remember
you?
this.
That was
Yeah,
you?
the
Yeah, I do remember that. I actually like I took the physical copy of the paper. I took it to my dorm room and I kept it. I read that. I can't believe that was you. That's insane.
thanks.
It
Yeah,
was-
I was. It was like I was in the middle of writing that, and Sonia slacked me saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to go front page." And of course, I was like, "Oh my god!" So yeah, that was I was happy with it. It yeah, that was I think that was kind of the moment when I really just kind of realized that this is something that not only I could be good at, I could be great at. This is something that I could do for the rest of my life if I wanted to. And yeah, that didn't really fall off. Chase Rogers became the news editor after Sonia Garcia became the managing editor. Chase Rogers chose me to be the assistant news editor somehow. Thanks, dude, but I don't know what you thought you were doing. Um, Another semester of struggle and trying to find my footing. I put out a couple more articles, but I was really mostly focused on just shaping what the news section was supposed to be. And then all of the weight fell on my shoulders when Chase Rogers graduated, and I'm the news editor now. I have been since May. Yeah.
That's insane. Like the way it comes full circle. Because I vividly remember that article. It was yeah, like you said, it was on the front page, and I picked it up and I was looking at it, and like I have very strong opinions about vaping. I hate it. So like it was funny to read that and like laugh at the people who do vape, because they're making poor decisions. And it's just crazy. Like I'm talking to you now. Like that was like my introductory to the Star too, because that was the first thing I picked up, and I knew tidbits about it, but that's what kind of got me interested. And I was like, yo, like these people know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? They have a structure. This is dope. And wow, that's insane. That's honestly insane. So, how do you like being the news editor?
Well, let me tell you, it is hard. It is really really hard. Uh, Going into it, I was thinking it was going to be uh, a lot like being the assistant news editor. Like, just tell the people to do the thing and they'll do the thing, right? It's that simple. But of course, it's not. When I'm wearing the big boy boots, It's a matter of training reporters. It's a matter of hiring reporters. It's a matter of determining what is the news section going to be covering this week. What is important in the city, in the university, in the county this week, and that's the hard part, is coming up with what stories I want my reporters to be covering, and then also I have to simultaneously train them to the point where they can take the stories that I want them to cover. Um, so it's hard, but I guess back to your original question of what do I think about it? I love it. It's, this is this is right here is the best place for me to be right now, because not only do I have this platform that I can use to educate the people of San Marcos and the university. I can I can give platforms to people who have that same passion as me. Like when Sonia brought me into the Star, I didn't know that this would become the thing that I wanted to do. I didn't know that this was going to be my career. And I want to give that same experience to as many people as possible, give platforms to as many people as possible, develop writers. It's a fantastic opportunity and a privilege with a capital P.
I love hearing like when people are like passionate about something and they really enjoy it, like just letting their heart out and clearly like you have a lot of admiration about this position and the power that you have and being able to develop people, and that's a beautiful thing, man. Do you think you're gonna do this like or do you want to do this as like a career and when you graduate?
Yes, that's my current goal. But obviously, 5 years from now, who knows? The amount of money I have and where I'm going to be living will be determinant of will determine what job I'm going to go into. But if you're asking in the broad scope of journalism, yes. As an editor and a manager, I'm not sure. I'm taking advantage of this opportunity that I have right now, and I'm going to do the best I can to fulfill the position. But when I'm writing solo, I guess when I'm there's a fly on my wall. It's dead. I feel so much better.
This has been a very interesting podcast. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. You're a funny guy. This is what I'm talking about. Like your personality. You're a funny guy. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Please continue.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah. I don't know if I would want to be an editor past the University Star. Because I love reporting. I love reporting so much. Whenever I have the time to write a story, and once I've got a really good interview, or once I have everything down on the page, and it's like I've got even more. It's just I get this feeling of just like this satisfaction and like pride with myself, which I've always had a hard time giving myself credit, and I've always had a hard time with imposter syndrome, which is just feeling like you're not in the right place, feeling like where you are is a mistake. And even if that is the case, even if I'm not the most qualified person for this position or in this field, I'm giving it my all. And whenever I land like a success or like just a completed article, or even if I edit and put together something from a reporter that's just really good, it gives me that sense of belong. It gives me that sense of belonging. It gives me that sense that I really am in the right place. And nothing really makes me feel that way like putting together a good article. So I want to be, more than anything, just like a Texas reporter for now, unless I move to Wisconsin. Then I guess I'll be a Wisconsin reporter. I don't know.
So like just covering like Texas news and politics. I could see you being a politics writer. Like
I would like to.
I could see you doing something like that.
That would be really cool. I need to shout out Chase Rogers, the former news editor, for he really kind of stoked the flames for my interest in politics like that. And now I'm at this point where I like live and breathe it. If I get the chance to cover it, I will. And I think I hope that's a major part of my career in the future is politics.
What do you think about what's going on now politically? I'm curious. You don't have to say political affiliation, but I'm very interested because I have very strong opinions about everything that's going on in terms of the left and the right, and yeah.
Boy, you've opened up a can of worms here, sir. Are we talking federal? Because I've got opinions. I've got
Yeah,
opinions.
I mean, I don't like the governor. I don't.
Mm,
I don't like most politicians. I think politicians are slimy people. But the governor, I don't really like him. You know, and like what would he like close like it's one polling location per county? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? These
yeah.
counties are so big, and I think it's just voter suppression. So I'm not a big fan of the governor. I'm
Mm.
referring more so to the federal level. But
Um,
if you have tea on the state level, go ahead, bro. Go off. The mic is yours.
I will talk about one thing on the state level, since you did mention Abbott's recent action. Um, Here, I've got to pull it up just so I make sure. Yeah, mail ballot drop boxes. That's what was limited to one in each county.
Okay.
His county wasn't affected that much really because they already only had one drop off point. But like if we talk about Harris County, like millions of people, one mailbox drop off point, and obviously it is a mission of mine to remain objective, especially in a standpoint of news. But this is a repeated attempt throughout history in Texas to suppress voting, making it as much of a task, as much of a chore as possible to limit the amount of people that can vote. And if you limit accessibility to certain groups, then certain people can stay in power. Something I was thinking about the other day is rooting out like an incumbent, powerful Texas senator is, especially a Republican one, is really really difficult. Like you can raise millions of dollars and you can have like you can be like Beto O'Rourke and have like a like get an endorsement from Michelle Obama and like make turning Texas blue national news, and you will still lose to Senator Cruz just because it's so difficult to weed out these people that have been in office for so long. And with Abbott's move here, to me, especially in terms of Harris County, it comes off as transparent and intentional. Because if you think about it, Harris County is a big, bustling city, right?
Yeah.
Big on the economy. Maybe not as much now, but even now, people looking for answers, people looking for a new life, people that in their 20s that are still moving around, maybe impacted by the economic effects of the negative effects of COVID-19, move to Harris County. Um, People in that age group, either whether it be for college or just looking for a place to settle down, this young group that I'm talking about at college age slash people moving around is early 20s. That's a primary Democrat. That's a blue voter base right there. Not entirely, but primarily. And these people need to change their address in order to apply for voter registration in Harris County. And the more of a pain that it is to accomplish this, and in terms of mail-in ballots, the more of a pain it is to get to this one single drop-off location, then that harms the Democrat voter turnout. And as far as I know, Harris County is pretty blue, but limiting blue votes in any part of Texas just inherently helps conservatives, because the people that vote every single year for the same Republican, like conservative ideals, they're already registered to vote. They're going to vote early. They're going to get up really early. They're going to go to the polling location. They're going to click R, and then they're going to move on with their day. But people that are new in town that are Democrat, jump through hoops. Good luck. Um, yeah. So I guess on the sentiment of voter suppression, it's that's the way politics are in Texas. It's just a matter of how can we structure the system so that it benefits the people who are already going to vote for the same group of people, and
Mhm.
not the new people.
I definitely agree with your note about it being transparent. I thought it was very transparent. When I saw, I think I don't remember where I saw, but I saw it and I was like, well, it's pretty obvious what he's trying to do. You know what I mean? Because like you
Mm.
just said, you limit the voting locations in a pandemic where people are scared to go out. Some people might have conditions. It's just, and then I think it was a video that CNN did, or no, I think it was NBC. I think it was NBC or MSNBC, same thing. About like a guy, he was a reporter in Texas, and he like was like a one side of Harris County, and he like drive 40 plus miles to go to the other location just to vote, and it, it's sad. It's genuinely sad because so many people, especially now, are trying to champion voting, and it's on every social media app you see. Hey, are you registered to vote? The NBA, they're encouraging people to vote. MLB, everybody's saying vote, vote, vote. And then you got these clear attempts by the people in charge trying to stay in charge, just like saying, well, we'll make it harder for you to vote, even though it's your right to vote. And it's just, this is like my gripe with a lot of like politicians, like I feel like on some level they don't always have the best interest of the people at heart, and I feel like there's just a lot of corruption that happens in terms of government, and that's just my opinion. I think it happens on both sides. I think it's just government as a whole. There's a lot of corruption, and it's just sad to see, man. I appreciate your point of view. We don't have to go like into more detail. You don't have to like elicit like your political affiliation or anything. I know you're trying to remain as objective as possible, and I respect that. Trump has COVID. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, well, it's been fascinating watching the way that news organizations are scrambling because I don't understand why people were surprised in any regard that the White House wasn't 100% transparent about Trump's state. Like, if you were surprised that the White House wasn't going to tell you what's going on with Trump's health, then where have you been? Where, like, not only in the past like 4 years, like when has the White House been a crystal clear, transparent uh, body? Like,
No, no.
that's just not how it is. So watching reporters, uh, watching this bloodbath of just like this person close to Trump, this person who's close to a person who's close to Trump said this, and then there has to be a big fact checking, like no, Trump doesn't have the flu, or like no, Trump didn't have an oxygen tank. And then all the only like concrete reporting that we can get is like Trump's physician says this, but it looks like he was having trouble breathing. So it's just a matter of I guess from my perspective, it's just been absolute chaos watching this unfold, and especially now that Trump is out of the hospital, and through his Twitter, he's focusing, in my opinion, all of his effort into trying to like keep that campaign moving, and he's doing as much as he can through just Twitter. And so watching just series of all caps tweets come in from him, it's it's entertaining for sure because it's incredibly weird stuff. Like he just tweets, "Space Force vote." Like I wonder how many individuals saw that tweet and they're like, "All right, I'm voting Trump. Let's do this right now." Space Force. Bizarre, just bizarre, bizarre, bizarre.
I have it blocked on Twitter, so I don't see any of his tweets. Some slip through the cracks, but Space Force vote. All right, I know who I'm voting for.
uh,
Yeah, I feel like it's a lose lose situation. I feel like whether God forbid, I feel like God forbid he dies, right? To this, I'm not gonna jinx him. I don't want him to die. But if he does, it's gonna be a mess because then the president's gonna be dead, and then like we're gonna have Pence. And I feel like a lot of Republicans are gonna like say Pence should be in for longer, and it's an election. It's gonna be a nightmare. You know what I mean? And then on the other side, if he manages to make it through it, I feel like he's just gonna downplay it even more, and people are gonna be like, "Well, look at Trump, man. Like he he kicked it easy. It can't affect me, you know? And that's a whole new animal. Because I feel like, when I first heard the news, I was like, well, he's a 74-year-old guy. He's overweight. That ain't a good combo for this thing. But then another part of me is like, he's the president of the United States. He's gonna have some of the top of the line care, and they're gonna do him well. So I don't really know, man. What do you think?
Well, I definitely don't think he's going to die. I don't think that's going to happen. But his reelection, this period of time might be the most important period of time for him to determine whether or not he's going to get back into office. Um, because the way that he bounces back from like so many people in his party that he like his party was like a super spreader for this. That's the hot buzzword right now, right? And that's a crippling blow because that's a lot of people that aren't working. There's probably a lot more people that in that office that have COVID that we know about because there's no way that 10 people in a room of 100 people, all of them having COVID with no masks, and then it doesn't go much farther beyond that. So it'll just be a matter of how does Trump recover from this, especially the news about him. Well, I guess it's still up in the air at this point of the recording, but he just canceled the deals with Pelosi to try and negotiate a stimulus bill, and
Yeah.
that's waiting until after the election to get that done. That's a bold move. That could potentially really harm his campaign at the moment. And he even came out in a tweet and said like, "Get it done, make it happen." Right after he said he canceled deals. So he's all over the place. Like he makes a decision, he goes back on the decision, and then he goes on a tweet storm talking about Space Force, talking about right now he's big on the collusion with the Democrats and the Russian hoax. Bad time to pull this up because, I mean, the people that believe in that stuff already believe in that stuff and they're already voting for Trump. You're not going to sway more people by throwing a tantrum about some investigation that doesn't have any solid grounds yet, right? So if he sharpened his approach and if he pushed and got a stimulus bill through like yesterday, and he was hyper focused on his ads about whatever sleepy Joe Biden or whatever his campaigns are. If he sharpened up, found one or two things to talk about, and got a stimulus thing through, then he could very well pull through in this election. He could. But he's just so disorganized at this point that it's just hard to believe that he has a chance. But I mean, what do I know? I just see polls and we'll have to see what happens. But man, the reason that he got in in my opinion, one of the main reasons that he got into office is that his approach was so simple. Like if
Yeah.
you just say "Make America Great Again" and something as vague as "We're going to build a big old wall," and people hear those 2 points and they're like, "Yeah, I like those two things." So if he wants to keep up his record of staying super simple and attracting as many people as possible to short, punchy ideas, then he needs to get back on that horse again, or else he's not going to make it.
Okay, that's valid. I haven't heard anything like that. So that's a lot of new information. We'll see what happens, man. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how he pulls out of this one. Like you said, it does look very disorganized, especially every couple of days it's somebody new in the house that was close to him, and it feels like another blow for that side. You know what I'm saying? Another question I wanted to ask you in regards to like the state politics. Do you think eventually, at some point, we're going to turn Texas blue?
That's the question, right?
We got a lot of
It's
people from California coming here. I'm originally from New York, you know what I'm saying? And, my mom and I moved here. So a lot of people are coming here from these Democratic states with this Democrat ideology. You think it's possible?
it's 100% possible, um, but I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, other than just voter turnout, I guess. But obviously, as we discussed, Republicans work really hard to change the voter map. Sometimes literally, actually, a lot of the times literally. If you want to look at like voter districts and stuff, it's insane. It's like a kaleidoscope, and uh, that's just the way that they've structured their government. And so it'll be a matter of getting the right people in office to undo things that might prevent voters from getting to the polls. Um, but it's a tough question, and the reason it's a tough question is it hinges on it's a buildup, right? It can't Texas can't become blue overnight. It has to be like super red areas of the state that have a high population need to start slowly becoming blue or purple, and having a senator representatives that are blue obviously helps with that a lot. You really need like someone to rally behind, like Beto, I think, in order to really make a push for a blue Texas. And he did a fair job, but like we saw, like even in the debates of Ted Cruz and Beto, like it was difficult to get Beto to say like a plan, like what he wants to do. Cruz has been sitting in that chair for 3,000 years, and he has a bullet point list of everything that he wants to do. Beto is just like, yeah, I want to turn Texas blue, and I want to govern off of hope. And like you can try that. You can go ahead and try that on a nationwide level, and maybe that'll work in your favor. I mean, Obama ran a really successful campaign on kind of like I mentioned, having punchy things, right? Like campaign on hope. And obviously
Yes, we
he had
can.
other things as well. Yeah, yes, we can. Um, and you need someone like that in Texas, but also someone who's probably a little bit older and has experience, a lot of experience with Texas government in order to I think successfully push that. But how many older, seasoned Texas officials are gonna lead a blue charge in Texas? Like, let's be honest. Super grizzled, longtime Texas authorities are probably mostly Republican. So yeah,
What
it's
about
a
what about 10 years? You think 10 years? Or you think
10
it's
years
way longer?
solid, maybe in 10 years. I'd say it's more likely for it to temporarily turn blue for a period of time and then maybe switch back to red in like a
Yeah.
10-year period. I don't think we're going to see a permanently blue Texas, maybe even in our lifetimes.
That's fair. A lot of my opinions on this come from just like Elon Musk is gonna put like a Tesla campus in Austin, and he's gonna
Mm.
move here. Joe Rogan just moved here. A lot of people from both coasts are moving to Texas mainly because of the income tax. You save a lot of money living here. Um, Stuff like that. And I know a lot of like conservatives in Texas too are like, keep your California or wherever you're from voting that way, but when you move here, like vote red. So I feel like I don't know. I think when Beto ran, he did, I did a project on him in high school. So I read through like his Senate website and everything. And I mean, he had some good points. You know, he was trying to legalize marijuana, decriminalize it in the state, and kind of like Bernie-esque, kind of like goals and plans. But like you said, it was kind of just like hopes and dreams, which I think is really funny. And it's like the stat for like beating an incumbent, like incumbents hold the seat. It's like in the 90%. I want to say 98%. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's crazy, man. I appreciate you talking about like this political stuff because it fascinates me, and you know way more than I do when it comes to like at least Texas and like local government too. So where do you see the news section going in the future?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, the focus of our coverage changes by the week, by the month, by the day, even. And right now, it's just a matter of I'm planting seeds essentially. I have reporters on certain beats. Um, I have one covering crime. I have one covering the city council. Um, I have one covering just the San Marcos community, like businesses, events, um, and I'm planting these seeds now. And the goal is for them to become experts on their topics, and then pitch just bigger and more specific and more complicated stories in those beats as they go. And the goal is to for these seeds to sprout and to eventually have just a forest of these experts. How long can I keep this tree metaphor going? Who knows? But yeah, to really, I guess, bear the fruit of the goal of the news section, it's a matter of just digging down and just finding the juicy stuff to cover. Like we had a really awesome story recently, just that we just on a whim kind of stumbled upon, is comparing H1N1 to the current pandemic. Shout out to news reporter Lionel. Um, uh, yeah, so and big stories like that, that's the face of the news section for that week, right? And so I don't want to say like, oh, this month it'll be all election stuff, because who knows what's going to come up. We have a history story about a civil rights activist coming up that isn't necessarily pertaining to the election. So I guess to more directly answer the question, see how I dodged that so hard like a politician? I'm learning. But to more directly answer the question, the the news section is I want it to be representative of this city. We are a university paper intrinsically, I guess, but I want the University Star to be more than that. I want the news section to be representative of what's happening in our city, because we live here. We're learning about this city at a very fast and very complicated rate. There's no reason for the University Star news section to not be the source of news for people that live in San Marcos, not just students who go to Texas State. Even if we have Hayes County news that we want to cover, which isn't as common as San Marcos and University news, I want to be a resource for people that live outside of San Marcos, Buda, Kyle, Dripping Springs, which that's obviously pretty ambitious, but I want to, by the time I get out of here, I want to lay the groundwork for it to be possible for the University Star to just be like this source of information for the county, the city, like I said. And yeah, just as many people as possible, because the more people that rely on the Star, then the better work we produce. It goes hand in hand.
And you're a junior or you're a senior?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior? Okay. And you graduate in the spring.
The summer, hopefully.
Okay. All right, good. I'm excited. I'm excited because it really sounds like you have a goal and you have a plan, and I'm excited to see how you make the news section grow. And the notion at the Star is that the news section is the bread and butter, and I feel like having you at the helm and having these ambitions and goals, I feel like it's really good. It's really good, and I think you're gonna make a really good content. I think I read the H1N1 story, and I really enjoyed it. So I think your section's doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I mean it. I mean it. Um, so are you excited about the 11%? Me and Gabby kind of talked about it a little bit last week, but we didn't like announce it on social yet. And I feel like this is a good opportunity to kind of like plug in and talk about it. And you were the one that had this, really ambitious goal and this, what you wanted to cover and talk about. And initially it involved like COVID and the election, right? Or it involved like COVID, black people in the election, or something very ambitious about that. So I want to hear like how you feel about the 11% and like what you want going forward with it. Because now that we're kind of just like getting some motion going, I feel like this would be a good time to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very hyped to see where we take this project, because um, it is very ambitious, but this is this is something that we're taking on that hasn't been done by the University Star before, or even other news organizations based in San Marcos here. Obviously, the 11%, it's talking about the 11% Black population at Texas State, but I want to take that further. Like I want to talk about Harvey Miller, activist based in San Marcos. Seemed like a really, really awesome guy. I want to take in. I want to think beyond Texas State. Where do Black students go when they leave Texas State? What are their aspirations? What about the first Black women to attend Texas State back in the '60s? Like, where are they now? What were they? Where did they think their lives were going to go when they were at the university compared to where they are now? I think it would just be. What I want for this project to be more than anything is timeless. And it has the opportunity to be so 100%. And what I mean by that is I would like to almost paint a picture of what it has been like for Black students at Texas State and what it will be like for Black students at Texas State in the future. So those that make the decision to get a degree at this university can kind of take a look, like how has the university treated people that look like me for the entirety of its existence? What are the communities that are thriving within the university that I can participate in? How can I best take advantage of this college experience? Because the more effort the University Star puts into constructing this 11% project, then potentially the more Black students would be motivated to attend this university. And that's like a big part of the theme, right? Like the 11%, that isn't necessarily significant. And that's a statistic that's been very consistent for the history of Texas State. And what if we can change that? What if the 11% becomes the first thing that becomes out of date about our coverage, right? I want to see that percentage going up. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. I kind of rambled.
No, no, you didn't. You didn't at all. Don't say that. I'm with you. I really want this project to be telling stories about those who like be kind of just be the voices of the unheard, and shed light on a lot of people. And frankly, it felt to me going here, I didn't notice how few Black people we had. I felt like we had a lot of Black people, more than 11%. And amongst Black people here, there's a joke that Texas State is like an HBCU because there's so many Black people here. But then you look statistically, and it's like, yo, this isn't that much. And the university loves to say, and I heard this all the time when I was on campus, that like we're a minority majority university. And it's like, well, the Black people especially are still like the minority, you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
only 11%, and that number hasn't changed significantly over how many years that this university has been around. It's ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to this project. It is a lot. It is very nerve-wracking. We have a lot of eyeballs on us, but I think we have what it takes, and I think we're capable, and I'm excited. So this is kind of just me trying to bring up the 11% to anybody who's watching or listening, and keep an eye out, because this takes a lot of work, and a bunch of people behind the scenes are working their ass off, and yeah, it's gonna be great. And like Daniel said, I think the key word is timeless, and yeah. Um, we are just about out of time, Daniel. Is there anything you want to plug before we go?
Um, please read the Star and support student media. I that request isn't for me as much as it is for you, because the people that read the Star, the people that contribute ideas, give me story pitches, that leave comments on stories that the news section publishes. We just then become a more focused organization. We become better at serving our community. So, and our goal is to serve you. At the end of the day, news is all about informing people about the things that they might not otherwise be able to know about or find out about themselves. Um, so I urge I urge our readers to really look at the Star as an opportunity to project your questions. You have questions most likely about what's happening in your day-to-day lives at the university or even in the city, and we have the capability of answering your questions, and we want your voices to be heard so that we can address it in the best way possible. So please consider just contacting us in any way, read our articles, give us constructive criticism, because the more that you interact with us, the better that we can serve you. So, and obviously watch out for the 11%. Good stuff is coming. Please, I don't know, is there some sort of subscription for this podcast? Because Mr. Kim Davis is an awesome host, great guy.
Thank you.
Yeah. You've been here for like what, a few months, and you're already like iconic. Like you're taking off, man. I'm really excited to see what you do with this platform. What, you're hiring people this month?
Yes.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna shine. I'm really excited to see what you do.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time and being here. I enjoy talking to you, genuinely. Um, and I enjoy getting to know you more. I'm excited to see where you and the section grows as time goes on. And you and I are very like-minded, and we're very ambitious people, and I think that's beautiful. And I like how you're striving to be better as opposed to just being settling for mediocrity, because when you thrive in mediocrity, you never know what you're capable of. And I really admire you for doing that, man. But yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast. So anybody who's watching and listening, the Star is applications are open right now. If you want to work with Mr. Daniel Weeks at the news section, or you want to become a part of the podcast team, make sure you apply. And see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye. Have a good one.